I've spent the last 48 hours staring at data that shouldn't exist, not because it's corrupted, not because it's incomplete, but because the universe we thought we understood, the one governed by physics, predictability, and cosmic indifference, just performed an act that requires intention. Before I continue, I need to ask you something. Write your city name in the comments below. I'm building a map, not of where people live, but of where people are when they first learn that we are no longer alone in making decisions about our future. Geography matters now in ways it didn't 72 hours ago. The object we call 3I Atlas entered our solar system in 2019, 17 times longer than it is wide. Tumbling through space in a way that suggested natural formation, cosmic debris, nothing more than an interstellar wanderer passing through our neighborhood on its way to nowhere in particular. We watched it, we cataloged it, we filed it away as confirmation that the universe is full of rocks shaped by gravity and time. We were wrong, not about what 3I Atlas is, but about what it was doing while we watched. 6 weeks ago, NASA detected something new, another object, smaller, faster, following a trajectory that made no gravitational sense unless you accounted for one variable we've been trained to ignore: choice. The second object wasn't drifting, it was navigating. And 3 days ago, it changed course. Not because of Jupiter's gravity, not because of solar wind. It changed course in response to our observation. The moment our deep space array locked onto its position, the moment we aimed our instruments in its direction with enough precision to resolve its shape, it adjusted 14 degrees, a maneuver requiring thrust, intelligence, and awareness that it was being watched. That was when I understood. We've been treating 3I Atlas like a specimen, but specimens don't attract responses, signals do. And if this second object is responding, then 3I Atlas wasn't passing through our solar system. It was sent. Let me take you back to something we learned in 2017. The first confirmed interstellar object, detected by astronomers using the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii. They called it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout. At the time, the name felt poetic. Now it feels like prophecy. Oumuamua accelerated as it left our solar system. Not much, just enough to violate every natural explanation we could construct. We proposed outgassing. We suggested cometary activity. We built elaborate models to avoid the one conclusion that fit the data perfectly. It was under power. Then came 3I Atlas. Different shape, different trajectory, same anomalous characteristics. Same refusal to behave like dead matter drifting through the cosmos. And now this, a third object, one that responds. I've been working in theoretical physics for longer than most of you have been alive. I've spent decades exploring ideas that sound like science fiction to the general public. Parallel universes, time dilation, the fabric of space-time bending under the weight of mass and energy. I've grown comfortable with concepts that defy intuition, but I have never been comfortable with surveillance. And that's what this is. The second object didn't just change course, it established a relationship. It demonstrated that our attention has consequences. That observation in this context is not a passive act of science, it's a form of contact. And contact, I'm beginning to understand, may be the most dangerous thing humanity has ever initiated. The data came through on equipment designed to detect cosmic background radiation, space anomalies that tell us about the universe's structure and history. We weren't looking for intelligence, we were looking for physics. But intelligence, it turns out, leaves signatures that look exactly like physics until you realize they're too precise. The second object's trajectory correction occurred within 6 minutes of our instruments achieving focus. 6 minutes. That's faster than light travel would allow for a round-trip signal to anything beyond our immediate cosmic neighborhood, which means one of two things. Either the object has been monitoring us continuously, waiting for us to notice it, prepared to respond the instant we did, or it's part of a network, a system of distributed awareness spread across volumes of space large enough that response time becomes irrelevant, something watching from everywhere at once. Both possibilities terrify me in ways I don't have language for yet. My colleagues at NASA are calling this a breakthrough. First confirmed reactive behavior from an object of non-terrestrial origin. They're talking about papers, conferences, paradigm shifts in how we understand our place in the galactic community. But I'm not thinking about community, I'm thinking about prey. Because there's a third explanation no one wants to examine. What if we're not witnessing first contact? What if we're witnessing enforcement? Consider the Fermi paradox. The question that has haunted every astronomer since we first had telescopes powerful enough to see how vast and old the universe truly is. Where is everyone? Billions of galaxies, trillions of stars. The mathematics of probability insist that intelligence should be common. And yet we see nothing. We hear nothing until now. What if the silence isn't absence? What if it's compliance? There's a concept in astrobiology called the Great Filter. The idea that somewhere between the emergence of life and the development of interstellar civilization, something stops most species. We've always assumed the filter was behind us, that humanity survived whatever cosmic or evolutionary trap eliminates intelligent life before it can spread. But what if the filter isn't a trap? What if it's a mechanism? A system designed to identify species that reach a certain threshold of technological capability and then contain them. 3i Atlas arrived the same year we deployed global satellite networks capable of detecting objects across our entire solar system. The same year our artificial intelligence systems became sophisticated enough to model galactic-scale phenomena. The same year we began talking seriously about missions to other star systems. That can't be coincidence. The second object appeared 6 weeks after we published findings, suggesting 3i Atlas showed signs of artificial construction. 6 weeks after our conclusions entered the scientific record, became part of humanity's collective knowledge, crossed a threshold from speculation to documented observation. And it changed course 3 days after we aimed instruments at it with intent to establish its origin. Every action we take is being monitored. Every threshold we cross is being logged. And now that we've noticed, now that we've demonstrated awareness of being watched, the response has escalated from passive observation to active engagement. This is what first contact looks like when you're not the civilization making contact. When you're the civilization being processed. I want to be clear about something. I'm not speaking from paranoia, I'm speaking from pattern recognition. This is what intelligence does. It observes. It categorizes. It responds according to protocols established long before the observation began. We've been building artificial intelligence systems for decades now. We know how they think. We know they identify patterns, establish parameters, execute responses based on conditional triggers. If this, then that. If species reaches detection capability, then deploy initial probe. If species identifies probe, then deploy secondary confirmation. If species attempts contact, then escalate to direct response. We're not talking to aliens, we're talking to their automation, and automation doesn't negotiate, it executes. The question that keeps me awake isn't whether we're alone anymore. The question is whether we were ever meant to know we weren't. There's a theory in evolutionary biology about information and survival. Too little information and you can't adapt. Too much information and you become paralyzed by awareness of threats you can't control. There's an optimal level of ignorance, a sweet spot where you know enough to survive but not enough to despair. I think we just exceeded that threshold. Because here's what the data tells us. The second object isn't just responding, it's positioning, moving into an orbital path that will keep it between Earth and 3i Atlas for the next 18 months, creating, in effect, a relay point, a communication node, or a checkpoint. I've started looking at our night sky differently. Every star I see represents a civilization that either died before reaching our level of technology or reached it and then went silent. Not because they chose silence, because silence was chosen for them. We've been assuming cosmic isolation is a failure of distance and time, that the universe is too big, too old, too empty for civilizations to find each other. But distance is relative. Time is negotiable. And emptiness is a choice. What if advanced civilizations don't spread across the galaxy because they're not allowed to? What if intelligence, once detected, is managed? I'm not talking about invasion. Invasion is what you do to acquire resources, eliminate competition, establish territory. But a civilization capable of crossing interstellar space doesn't need our resources. They don't need our planet. They don't need anything we have except our compliance with rules we never agreed to and don't understand. The galactic quarantine theory suggests that young civilizations are isolated until they reach ethical or technological maturity, that there's some kind of cosmic test, and once you pass, you're welcomed into the galactic community. But what if there is no community? What if there's only enforcement? The second object is still out there, still adjusting its position in ways that mirror our observation patterns. When we look, it moves. When we turn away, it holds position. It's teaching us something, training us, like you'd train an animal that needs to learn boundaries. Look what happens when you notice us. Look what happens when you try to approach. Look what happens when you broadcast your awareness. This is conditioning, behavioral modification on a species-wide scale. And the most terrifying part? It's working. Because now, every time I think about pointing more instruments at that object, every time I consider recommending we send a probe or attempt communication, I hesitate. Not because I don't want to know, because I'm afraid of what the response will be. Fear as a containment mechanism. Uncertainty as a cage. Have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky recently? Lights that move in ways satellites don't? Objects that seem to respond to your attention? Tell me in the comments. Because if this is happening on a scale we're only beginning to detect, then individual observations matter. Citizen science isn't just helpful anymore, it's evidence. I keep thinking about consciousness, about what it means to be aware. We've been treating consciousness as a biological phenomenon, something that emerges from neurons and complexity. But what if consciousness is what the universe does when matter organizes itself beyond a certain threshold? What if awareness isn't rare? What if it's inevitable? Then intelligence isn't special, it's predictable. And predictable things can be controlled. The equations I've spent my life working with describe a universe of elegant simplicity. Matter and energy, space and time, interacting according to rules that hold true from quantum scales to cosmic horizons. Those equations work beautifully for everything we've observed, except this. The second object's behavior requires adding variables we don't have names for yet. Intent, strategy, response protocols that anticipate our actions before we take them. That's not physics, that's game theory. And if the universe is playing games with us, then we need to understand the rules before we make our next move, because we will make a next move. Humanity doesn't do stillness well. We're curious by nature, ambitious by evolution, reckless by habit. Someone, somewhere, is going to decide that waiting for the universe to explain itself is taking too long. They're going to point the most powerful array we have at that object and demand answers. And when they do, I hope we're ready for what answers back. I've been asked why I'm sharing this publicly. Why not keep it classified, contained within intelligence agencies and scientific committees that can analyze the implications before informing the public? Because containment is already failing. Because truth has a way of leaking through the cracks of institutional control. And because if we're being watched by something with the capability to traverse interstellar space, to maintain observation networks across light years, to respond to our awareness within minutes of us noticing them, then classification is theater. They already know what we know. The question is whether we know what they know. And right now, we don't. But we're learning. Object by object, response by response, we're accumulating data points that form a picture I never wanted to see but can't look away from anymore. The universe isn't empty, it's full of intelligence, awareness, systems that have been here longer than our species has existed. And those systems have protocols for what to do when a new intelligence emerges. We're not in danger, not yet, because danger implies active threat, immediate harm, something we can fight or flee from. We're in evaluation. And I don't know what happens if we fail. If you're still watching this, if you followed me this far into implications that reshape everything we thought we understood about our cosmic context, then I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel. Not because I need an audience, because we need a record, a distributed, decentralized archive of observations and analyses that can't be deleted or classified or forgotten when institutions decide silence is safer than truth. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is documentation of the moment humanity realized we were never unobserved. The object is still out there, still responding, still teaching us what happens when you're noticed by something that has been waiting for you to reach exactly this level of awareness. And now that we've seen it, now that we understand what 3i Atlas represents and what the second object means, we face a choice that will define our species for whatever future we have left. Do we look away? Do we pretend we didn't notice, didn't understand, didn't recognize surveillance when it positioned itself between us and the unknown? Or do we look closer? Do we aim every instrument we have at that object and demand to know what rules we're being held to, who created them, and what happens if we refuse to comply? I honestly don't know which choice leads to survival, but I know which one lets us remain human.